Hi everyone, in the interest of time, I'm going to get started. Welcome to the Skills Workshop's 22nd Virtual Careers Fairs. For those of you that have been here before and followed the programme since June, welcome back. Anyone joining for the first time, welcome. Just a quick reminder, the Skills Workshop was created to give you the skills, knowledge and insight you need to prepare for a career within asset management. So we're running 41 careers fairs featuring firms across the industry. All our workshops are free to register and the details will be in the chat box. My name is Kate Robinson. I work for a company called SEI and I'm joined by Cyprian Njama and Rebecca Mooney as well. Cip, do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, hello all. My name is Cyprian Njama and I work for SEI as well. I'm a director within the institutional business here, which is basically focusing on managing money for investors over the long term.
Hi all, my name is Rebecca Mooney. I am an associate on SEI's graduate scheme. I'm just over a year in. My current rotation is in UK Change, which is project management, but I have already done 3 rotations. So I've got another 12 months left of the scheme until I roll off as a proper employee.
Thanks both. And like I said, my name is Kate Robinson. I am the junior HR business partner at SEI. I've been here for about 3 years and I'll be hosting the session. I'm just going to share my screen with you. Hopefully you can see my slides. Cip, Rebecca, are you able to see the slides?
Looks good.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Just a quick agenda. I'll be taking us through a bit about SEI, what we do as a company. I'll also talk a bit about some of the vacancies that we've got at the moment. And then I'll hand over to Rebecca to talk about her time on the associate programme. And then Cip will finish with a bit of a story about his career and how he got to where he is today. And we'll save some time at the end for Q&A. If you have any questions throughout, please put them in the chat box. We can monitor it throughout the session. So, who are SEI and what do we do? We are a US-based company, but we do have offices in London, which is where the 3 of us work, Dublin, Hong Kong, and South Africa. And a lot of other sort of satellite offices around the world, but those are our main ones. We've been around for just over 50 years, and we are a leading global provider of investment management, investment processing, and investment operations solutions. So a big part of what we do is technology. A lot of people call us a fintech company. So we provide technology-driven wealth and investment management solutions to our clients. Our clients are professional wealth managers, institutional investors or private investors, and we essentially provide comprehensive and innovative solutions to help them create and manage their wealth. We do this through infrastructure platforms, solutions and other services within the financial services industry. A little bit about some of the programs that we can offer you guys. So we have a program called the Associate Program. This is a 2-year rotational scheme. It says graduate, you don't actually have to be a graduate, and you especially don't have to be recently graduated. We do have a number of, quite a wide range of candidates that apply and are successful, all different ages, backgrounds. It starts every September, so we've just hired this year's cohort and we're starting the recruitment process for 2022 already. So successful candidates, they spend 2 years rotating through a particular business unit. It's normally the SEI Wealth Platform, which is a technology part of our business. However, this year we've also introduced associates within institutional, so Cyprian's remit. You rotate around for 2 years, getting experience in lots of different teams. Each rotation somewhere between 3 to 6 months. So you tend to do maybe 5 or 6 rotations throughout your time here. At the end of the 2 years, you are given a permanent role in one of the teams that you've worked in. So like I said, we are a US-based company. Our head office is in a place called Oaks, which is about 40 minutes outside of Philadelphia. If you were to be successful and join the program, you get a 10-day trip to our head office in Oaks. You meet the global associate cohort in the US. They take on about 50 every year. We're obviously a bit smaller. We take about 5 or 6. You go over to the US, you meet your global peers, as well as the senior leaders of the business, and that includes our CEO and founder, Al West. You actually go out to dinner with him, which is quite an amazing experience. You're also given a junior and a senior mentor throughout the scheme, to help guide you through your journey. And obviously I'm here, the rest of the HR team are here, all the managers and the previous associates are here to help you as well. Rebecca will be talking a little bit more about this later on. We've also introduced the internship program. We actually introduced it this summer for the first time. It's a 10-week paid summer placement running between June and August. At the moment, we hired 2 interns this year. I think we're looking to expand it next year. This year, they worked in the SEI Wealth platform. So again, the technology part of the business. However, I know that other business units are now interested because it was very successful. So next year, it might be an institutional, asset management. We're not too sure yet, but a lot of scope for kind of growing out the scheme, which is exciting. You don't rotate. It's slightly different to the associate scheme. You are within one team for the whole 10 weeks. It's really to give you guys an opportunity to sort of deep dive and understand how the team works, how it contributes to the success of business, etc. So you'll be working with obviously the permanent people in the team. You also have a cohort of global interns as well, so a lot of peers in the US. We give you the opportunity to do tons of team building projects with quite senior people in the London office as well as the Oaks office as well. Again, you have mentors throughout the placement to help you. I'm here in HR, all my other HR colleagues are here to help you, as well as all the managers and associates as well. We did design the internship program to essentially be a feeder for the associate program. So what I mean by that is because we had a lot of applications for the internship program this year. It's a really popular kind of scheme. We do have to put criteria in place to kind of whittle it down. So if you were to apply for the internship program, what we would ask is that you are available for full-time work the September the year after. So say, for example, if you're in your penultimate year of uni, that's absolutely fine. If you're going to graduate the next summer and you're ready to start full-time in September, the next September, that's fine. If you're in your first year and you still had a couple more years of uni left to go, unfortunately, you wouldn't qualify for the internship program. There's not too much criteria that we have in place, but we did have to put that in place this year just because it's such a popular program. But these are our 2 kind of official programs that we've sort of fleshed out. We are also starting, I haven't made a slide on it because it really is brand new, but we are starting an apprenticeship scheme as well. This is literally brand new, that we have 2 apprentices starting in a couple of weeks, again on the SEI Wealth platform technology part of the business, but we'll see how it goes. If it's successful, we might build it out a bit further and have other business units take part as well. The 2 apprentices will be focusing on the operations side of the SEI Wealth platform technology, getting tons of experience, probably rotating through different teams. And it's a 2-year apprenticeship. At the end of the apprenticeship, hopefully getting a permanent role as well. Like I said, it's absolutely brand new. This year, the 2 starting in a couple of weeks are our guinea pigs, but I'm hoping it works really well. And we can kind of start rolling it out every year. I think this is my last slide actually before I pass on to Rebecca. We do have a number of current vacancies at the moment, sort of for junior kind of vacancies. I've listed them here, but please have a look on our careers site as well. It's careers.seic.com. We also have an amazing recruitment team, UK recruitment at seic.com. More than happy to help you. If you have any questions for me, please put them in the chat box. I'll do my best to answer them. But yeah, these are the kind of junior roles that we've got at the moment. As you can see, a lot of them are in the SEI Wealth platform, so the kind of fintech part of our business. They're really kind of varied. Release analyst is sort of to do with configuration and data analytics. Marketing speaks for itself. Project analyst, but we do also have this junior sales support role available in institutional, which is Cyprian's remit as well. But please keep an eye on our website over the next coming months. We always update our website. And if you have any questions, ask me, or as I said, email our recruitment team. We have 2 brilliant recruiters who would be more than happy to help you with any questions. But that is it from me. I wanted to give Rebecca and Cyprian enough kind of time to talk about themselves. So I'll hand over to Rebecca.
Okay. So yeah, I'm just going to discuss my time at SEI as an associate and my background and what brought me to join the associate scheme. So for the more non-traditional students in attendance. I actually came from an apprenticeship background. So as Kate mentioned, you don't necessarily have to be a graduate as long as you have relevant experience for the associate scheme. So I worked at UBS for a number of years. I was in the front office as a portfolio administrator in the wealth management industry, and essentially I administered kind of a book of up to 50 high net worth clients. So I really enjoyed the wealth management industry, and kind of towards the end of my time at UBS, I decided I wanted to move into the slightly more tech side of wealth management, having seen kind of the burdens and the constraints we had in wealth management in the front office. The reason I probably was so attracted to SEI was the rotational aspect of the scheme. Most grad schemes I had been looking into kind of meant you were more pigeonholed into a specific part of the business. And I like the idea of really understanding the context behind what SEI was trying to achieve. So I work on the SEI Wealth platform, and the rotational scheme, as Kate mentioned, is a 2-year program. So now a year in, I've done 3 rotations, ranging across working with the COO, assisting him on a number of projects, working in operations, actually on the platform directly, within corporate actions, on the more financial side of things, and also working in change. So that this will be one of my longest rotations, and I'll be working change for at least 6 months. So I'll be working on everything to do with projects, converting clients, implementing clients, and deconverting clients. So it's it's quite a journey, and it's got a nice balance between finance and technology. And I think technology is so crucial within the financial industry. It was a bit of a no-brainer to choose SEI to continue my career and grow my career. A few things I just want to note about the associate scheme is, obviously, as it's a rotational scheme, you really have to adapt a lot. So I've really learned some kind of new strengths of having to network. For every 3 to 4 months, you have to hand over a whole new project, settle into a whole new team, understand new processes, apply new policies, and kind of, potentially meet new faces and new clients. So it requires quite a lot of resilience and quite a lot of adaptability, but it really builds really good stepping stones for a successful career. And from that as well, you kind of just leverage some amazing skills and strengths to hopefully find your permanent position by the time you finish the 2 years on the programme. I think Kate had mentioned the fact that there's a great mentor scheme, and it's probably not given enough kudos, but essentially you get assigned a junior mentor who's usually on the associate scheme. So I'm a mentor now for the 2021 cohort, and then you get also a senior mentor, and those positions are kind of, you volunteer to be a mentor. So these are people that generally want to help you throughout your time as an associate, and it's definitely not given enough kind of time, just because you really can leverage a lot of experience from people that have been at SEI for quite a number of years, or at least even in the industry. So my senior mentor has kind of given me a number of sessions on different aspects, such as kind of knowing how to read a balance sheet. And these are things that I just never would have gotten the opportunity to do, maybe if I'd taken the initiative. But it's just great that those kind of facilities and those resources are in place whilst you're on the scheme. So it's really well rounded. And then another thing I wanted to mention, whilst you're on the 2-year scheme, you will be generally assigned 2 projects. So in your first year, you'll do something which they call a strategic project. This is done with your cohort. So the 5 of you will kind of be assigned a project, and there'll be a key stakeholder and a number of individuals that will help you along the way to deliver this project to the UK leadership team and a number of your employees. So that's, again, it's quite an important part of the scheme, because you're kind of consolidating all the learning you've been doing in your day job to something slightly kind of more impactful and potentially can be implemented at a later date. And that's probably something that SEI has kind of surprised me in a really positive way. You really can implement change if you have the initiative and take the initiative to do so, and you can back it up with work essentially. So there's a lot of scope to find kind of your thing within SEI. And finally, in the second year of your associate scheme, you will do a global project, and that's with the global associates. So whilst the associate scheme is happening in the UK, there is a global associate scheme happening in the US. So it's quite nice because you get to partner with your colleagues in the US, and they're a much larger class, about 25, I think, this year. So you're kind of teamed off into smaller groups, and yeah, we'll be starting that project in the new year. So again, it's probably, I think for me, the best part about that is networking, kind of getting to, again, leverage new skills and strengths from people that have had a very different background, a very different education, but kind of we're all kind of working for the same goal and for the same company. So yeah, these are some great parts about the associate scheme that I've enjoyed, and I think covered most of what I wanted to say. So I'll pass on to Cyprian.
Okay, hello all. I introduced myself at the start, but I didn't mention how long I've been in the industry for. I've been around for 16 years now, and I have been working at SEI for the last 11 years. I'll spend a bit of time on the first 5 years, so maybe it's probably more relevant for you guys. I studied physics at university. I pretty much have no business being in the financial industry, but I found myself just chatting to a few people in the industry, and the actuarial route. So trying to qualify as an actuary actually interested me because it felt like a soft landing coming out of university where you studied science and didn't really know about finance, and it was nice to just get some education. So I spent 4 years training to be an actuary. And you normally do this with the consultancy firm. I'm sure some of you would have listened to them present. I think for me, the investment side of this pension work, actually, I found more attractive in terms of trying to advise clients, being front office, helping them make decisions. That was attractive to me. And I wanted somewhere that was quite entrepreneurial because I was sort of that way inclined. So I started at SEI about 11 years ago, and in that period, it's been a journey. It's been a sort of small UK business that has grown quite significantly. And if I was to sort of explain my own little niche within the business, what we do, on a sort of day-to-day basis, I help my clients who have anything ranging from 20 million to about £1 billion. I help them decide how to build their portfolio. So where do they put money? Is it cash? Is it equities? Is it bonds? Some of these things, hopefully you would have learned with the skills workshop, and then build a nice portfolio to generate returns over the long term so that they achieve their desired outcome. And there are other things around that in terms of what's going on in the market. So these things are I find them quite exciting. Being in the boardroom, helping CFOs, CEOs make decisions about investment, I find extremely exciting. So that's pretty much been the journey for me. It hasn't been smooth. The first 4 or 5 years of trying to sit exams while doing a day job was really hard, harder than university, I would say, but it's definitely worthwhile looking for something else to do in that first few years while you're working, be it networking and trying to understand other bits of the business, be it looking for one of these professional qualifications to do, whichever one you want to do. Definitely, I encourage you to do it at the onset because it will help you significantly in your career. And in terms of, I guess in the Q&A, I'm happy to answer any specific questions about my journey, but I was thinking about what to say in terms of advice. I know you guys are amazing students. You probably persevere, you work hard, you be diligent and all of that. But three things I wish I sort of did earlier on, I'll kind of share those with you. The first for me was just learning to speak up. I grew up in Nigeria. I grew up in a society where it's hierarchical and your elders are always right. So I took that and I still take it across into my day life, where you're in a boardroom and you're always quiet. You have ideas, but you never say them. Move outside that comfort zone. I'll say learn to speak up. Even if you make mistakes, it doesn't matter, but just learn to speak up, look for ways to add value as you're giving your opinions. And then the second thing is, don't just focus on the day job. I really enjoyed what Rebecca was saying about the networking and all those projects. Don't just focus on the day job and focus on the task you're given. Try to be visible. Try to look for ways to help add value across different teams. If you spot gaps, if you see things that could be improved, just try to help, because that will really help you on your journey. And then just finally for me, I know this is almost cliches, you just have to be bold, especially in our industry. You have to take risks, challenge yourself. I spent the first 5 years in an actuarial firm. The actuarial industry is quite comfortable. Once you qualify as an actuary, or they call us fellows of the institute, you almost have a job for life and you could stay in that little space. But I wanted something a bit more fast-paced, more dynamic. And I'm so happy I chose SEI, because it's been entrepreneurial. We've built some amazing solutions for our clients. I'm going to stop there. There's probably a lot to say, just scattered around that 16 years, but I'm happy to address them in the Q&A session. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Sip. We have got a couple of questions, actually. I'll go in chronological order. So have we got any idea of which business areas will be open for internships next year? I don't. I know for a fact that on the SEI Wealth platform, so the fintech part of the business, there will be at least one intern in there. This is the first year we've done it, and I think it was quite successful, and essentially the rest of the business has clocked onto it. We just need to figure out which other areas of the business can kind of make it work. As soon as we have the role open, which will be early next year, we normally start applications around January. We will post it on our website. So please just keep an eye on our website. There'll be more information to follow. Good question. Rebecca, I'm going to target this one at you. What is the work-life balance and what are the typical hours like, particularly for junior employees?
Yeah, so work-life balance has changed significantly in the last kind of 12 months, probably because of COVID. So at the moment, we're operating on a hybrid model. So it's kind of up to you and your manager and your team to discuss how your week looks in terms of working from home and working from the office. So for some, that has definitely improved their work-life balance. And for others, I know that being in the office is really important for them, which is probably why the hybrid model really works for the majority of people. But even pre-COVID, work-life balance was still very good. I think generally there was employees were better at a hard stop when they were in the office. Now there's a bit of a grey area in terms of, do you work over your lunch? Do you log back on potentially after dinner? But SEI have been very good at communicating that just because we're working from home doesn't mean you need to be logged on until midnight every night. It doesn't work that way. You're not contactable after the work hours. We work when our clients need us. I think it's probably my kind of the easiest answer. But as a junior employee, you'll get times where you are less busy, and that's me being very honest. But you have to kind of use that time quite wisely. Whether that's you're doing some extra exams, as Cyprian was doing, doing it in that junior period is quite a critical and a privileged time that you can almost kind of slot in some exams to enhance your professional career. But also it's that networking, and it's kind of making yourself known to the teams around you who work on the SEI Wealth platform and the greater SEI community, so that you hopefully can become someone that's visible and able to be contactable for certain projects. That's always a good sign that you're doing something good for the company.
Interested in your thoughts on work-life balance, typical hours as someone with a slightly more senior role. What would you say?
Good question. I was just listening to Rebecca, and I would maybe, if I talk across the 2 points of my career, the earlier stages, Rebecca hit the nail on the head in terms of the work-life balance is fantastic, but you then get quite a lot of time outside work, and doing something with that time that helps you in the future is also quite good in terms of these exams, in terms of networking. So I'll definitely encourage that. Just because you have that balance, once work is over at 5:30, you clock off, that's it. No, continue to think about growing your career. Maybe I'm sort of old school, but I think it's important to do just that little bit extra, just to put the foundations in place at the onset. And it's extremely important. Now that I'm a bit more senior, the work-life balance is still, for me, is still fine. Again, have a family, so you kind of think about how to make sure you spend quality time with family, because it's important for your well-being in terms of the workplace. But also the habits are formed at the early bit of my career then still means when it's quiet, as Rebecca said, I'm thinking about all the gaps and solutions and project within the team I work for to see if there could be things that could be improved, because the people at SEI, and I'm sure across other firms, are amazing. You have ideas and you bounce it off people, and all of a sudden you have critical mass and you make a change. So the work-life balance is there, but I would say try to use a bit more time outside work efficiently to help grow the career.
Good answer. The next question, how diverse is the working environment at SEI? Great question. I'll start with this one, I guess, from my HR sort of hat. I'd say we genuinely are pretty diverse. We've got a pretty good range of ages, pretty good gender split. I'd say pretty good in terms of sort of ethnicities and race. Diversity is something that we are genuinely very passionate about. It's something that we've been really, really working on, particularly in the last couple of years. We have an affinity group. We have a number of affinity groups, but one of them is the Diversity Network. It's a global network, so it is headed up in our head office, but we have a London subcommittee. There's, I think, about 12 people in the London group. Everyone is welcome to join. There's no set criteria at all. In fact, they welcome absolutely everybody from most junior to most senior. They do a lot of good work. They do a lot of really good work. It's been interesting over the last sort of year or so. I think when we went virtual, we were kind of like, how are we going to keep the momentum going in the diversity space? Because normally what we do is host events in person in the office. We have, speakers, some incredible sort of educational forums and stuff. And I think we were sort of a bit worried how it would work. I actually think it has worked better doing it virtually. The reason I say that is because we can reach a bigger audience. So, for example, if we wanted to host, I don't know, we had something at the end of last year, a concentration camp survivor who'd survived 3 concentration camps. Incredible, absolutely incredible man. He was in America, but obviously because it was virtual, we could reach all our global offices. So I actually think in that respect, we've done quite well keeping the momentum going. It is something that we are genuinely very passionate about. There are some very, very passionate people at SEI, which is great. And everyone is welcome to get involved in whatever. If you don't want to be in the diversity network, that's fine. You can always contribute ideas in other ways. We've got a women's network as well. Again, it's headed up in the US, but we have about 10 people in London on the women's network, not just women, 3 or 4 guys are on it. Absolutely brilliant. Again, they host so many amazing sort of educational things and virtual networking opportunities. So yeah, I do think it is something that we are quite proud of. I don't know if anyone else wants to touch on their experience of diversity at SEI.
I guess I can, again, just comment to support what Kate has said. In terms of the working environment, it is diverse, and Kate has set out just the spectrum in a sense. And we're continually, even in our team, where a lot of us have technical background, a lot of us are from different ethnicity, we almost challenge ourselves, because there is this thing about the technical aspect of anything, and there's not enough gender diversity there. So it's something we actually really took a step back, and I think we're addressing now in the team, and there's been some changes. So we're continually looking at it. As Katie said, there are groups that we do things outside SEI. We go to schools, we speak, we encourage people to come for internship and all of those things. But within the firm, we're also looking inwards to see how we can drive change as well.
Thanks, Sip. Someone has asked in the chat box, good question actually, I should have explained this earlier. What's the application process for the associate role? Rebecca, you've been through it. Do you want to explain what the application process is?
Yeah, absolutely. So the application process usually kicks off. Can you remind me, Kate, when the jobs are posted?
Yeah, we post them in January. So in the new year, 2022, we'll be posting the roles.
Yeah, so I remember at the time when I applied, there was an open day, which obviously I think last year it had to be done virtually. But I don't know whether there's plans potentially to do something in the office for 2022, fingers crossed, because if there is, I would really highly encourage and recommend people go to that, because it's a great way to meet some senior stakeholders that are really quite passionate about the associate scheme and contribute a lot to the kind of the entire process of it. So yeah, so keep an eye on the website for any open day dates. Following the open day, you will be given, I think my year at least, we had to do a cover letter and submit our CV. And then we were then given a specific topic to write a 500-word essay on. Mine was on, God, it was quite difficult. It was blockchain, how we can leverage blockchain and artificial intelligence in the kind of wealth management industry. So that was quite a challenge, having not come from a technology background at all, but it was actually really good fun. And then you will kind of, upon success of that, you'll then be invited to a series of interviews. So your first set of interviews are, I think it's still speed dating, if I'm correct, Kate, and that will be with members of the HR team, some associates, and then you'll hopefully be invited back for another round of interviews, again in a speed dating setting with more senior stakeholders at SEI. So and then that will wrap up the recruitment process. So it takes quite a long time between kind of application around February and then getting the offer in May. So but it's quite enjoyable, and you'll get to learn a lot about how SEI kind of operates just by their recruitment process, because it's very convivial. You really get a lot of feedback, and it's not as daunting as you'd expect some interview processes to be in application processes.
Yeah, we do try and make it quite different, and actually something that the cohort that just started a couple of weeks ago, the associates, we set them a project actually, and it was basically what can we do with the recruitment process. We've been running the associate scheme for about 5 or 6 years, so it is actually relatively new, and we're always kind of changing it, and sort of it's always evolving, and we're always keen to get feedback about the recruitment process. So as Rebecca said, it will probably always follow a very similar format. You apply your normal application, CV, cover letter, and we will always ask you to do an essay. Rebecca's year had it quite tough. We did put them on the spot with blockchain. Please don't let that put you off. That was just a particular topic of interest at that time. It could really be about anything. It could be a lot more generic. Where do you see the future of fintech? We could ask a personal question, maybe something like, what's your greatest achievement? It really could be based on anything. We actually ask the managers at SEI to set the question, which is quite interesting, but we'll always get you to write something just so we can understand a bit about your knowledge and your writing style. And then, yeah, Rebecca said speed dating. Just to clarify what that is, hopefully next year it will be in the office. We set up 5 desks, almost like a round robin. So that's where the speed dating thing comes from. You will be interviewed at the same time as about 6 other people. We deliberately do that to see how you kind of cope in that environment. So I will be doing one interview, there'll be someone next to me doing another interview. We all ask completely different questions, completely different interview styles, and you rotate around the room. We do that on a more junior level. So I will interview you with some of the former associates and maybe one of the recruiters in HR. If you get through to the second round, you'll be meeting with some of the business heads. So maybe, I don't know, our commercial director, our director of client service. Same premise, you all rotate around the room again. I think it's pretty interesting. And actually, a lot of the feedback we get about the recruitment process, that's a lot of people's favourite part. Yeah, I think it makes us quite different. But again, it is always evolving. I can't promise you what the essay question is going to be yet, but you will find out. If you're interested next year, you'll find out. I'll try and not make it too difficult, that blockchain again. But yeah, that's basically the summary of the associate recruitment process. But just keep an eye out on our website in January. We will do an open day. I'm hoping it will be in person, like Rebecca said. You can register for the open day, come to our office, meet all of us, check out the office and some of the people that you might be working with. It's really, really good day. So keep your eyes peeled on the website. Somebody has asked, is there a lot of travelling involved? I don't know if you mean just with the associate programme or with jobs in general. I think all 3 of us can probably take this. From my experience, I'm lucky enough to have been to our head office in Oaks. I'm really lucky in the sense that I've actually had dinner with Al West. He sat next to me. He's our CEO and founder. It entirely depends on your job. If you're asking from an associate perspective, yes, you will get to go to our head office. After that, you probably wouldn't be traveling, to our Hong Kong office or our Dublin office. Some of the people in our office do a lot of traveling, depending on their role. Sip, do you maybe want to touch on this and some of the institutional roles?
Yeah, I can touch on the institutional position. I guess we're client facing, we're front office, so there is a bit of traveling involved, but not a great deal. So Kate talked about going to the US office. We tend to do that maybe once a year, just to go over there, bounce ideas in terms of what's going on in the UK, what's going on in the US in terms of our solution for clients in general. So that's really good. With my clients tend to be dotted around Britain. So there is a bit of traveling. Before the lockdown, there was a lot of traveling to exotic places like Melksham and Chipping Norton and Derby and Newcastle. These are just day trips. You go in, you give them an update on how things are doing with the portfolio, give them a bit of training and come back on the same day. So I would say it's not that significant. There are times when someone from my team would need to fly out to South Africa to maybe present on things for our clients over there, but it'll probably be 2 or 3 times a year. So nothing major in terms of kind of living at the airport, I would say.
Yeah, I think the same with any company. It really does depend on your role. If you're owning international sales, you probably are going to be whizzing off to the areas that you look after. But yeah, for a lot of us, we do get to do a bit of travel. On the associate scheme, actually, we do in person, post-COVID, hopefully, we do normally go to recruitment fairs in person. Rebecca and I have been to a few, and we will send you around the country to, I don't know, different universities around the country. We'll send you off with some SEI branded stuff. You can go and sell the associate scheme. But I guess there is some travel involved, but yeah, like Sid said, it kind of depends on your role. Hopefully, Rebecca, COVID stopped her from going to the US to our head office with the rest of the associates. So hopefully she can go next year. Yeah, hopefully that answered your question, whoever asked that. I really like the next question. What's been your favourite moment during your time at SEI? This is for all of us. Rebecca, do you want to go first?
Such a hard one. That is really hard. And it's probably hard because I have spent about 12 months working from home. So it's kind of, everything's been, it's a different kind of dynamic when you're working with your colleagues remotely. I'd say it's probably been, this past week has been quite an exciting week from my perspective as an associate, so I can share it with you guys. We've had someone from our change team who's leaving, which is very sad, but it's meant that I've kind of been tasked to kind of take over from him and lead quite a big project for deconverting a client. So it's quite a big step up, and it's going to be quite a challenge, but it's obviously an amazing opportunity, and it's probably not an opportunity they give out all the time on the associate scheme. It just so happens that the timing has worked. So that was quite exciting news, slightly terrifying news as well, because I haven't done this before, but kind of obviously I've got a project manager who's going to be managing the entire project, but I'll be working beneath him, hopefully delivering a kind of smooth, seamless deconversion from our platform. So yeah, I'll really get equipped with the right things to that otherwise I just wouldn't have gotten in such short rotations, obviously. So that was quite an exciting moment, I'd say.
I would say 2 moments for me. And in my career, I've worked for 3, I guess, firms, and I guess at SEI, it's been 2 moments. One's personal, one's related to the business. In terms of personal, I would say it was almost 7 years ago now, I've been promoted to a director. And I don't know why, I guess people have their reasons, but I've just always had imposter syndrome. Even though I've went to an amazing university, I think I'm pretty intelligent and all of that, but you just have these quiet voices. And what happened was I came to SEI, and I'd been working under an amazing manager who's still my manager, and we've been doing great work, and he'd been throwing me in the deep end. I think I was going to conferences, presenting at conferences, thought leadership pieces, going to sales meetings and winning new business. And the promotion wasn't coming, and no one was saying anything about it. And I just sat down one evening, I was pretty frustrated, and I just kind of drafted an email to our global head and said, this is the reason I think I should be promoted. And I structured it in such a way, these are the wins, these are the things I've been involved in. I'm very excited about working in this team, just made it positive. And in 3 months, I was promoted. So it's almost just speaking out, speaking up, and just being bold. It's scary, but for me, I just almost reflect on that and think, if I'd never done that, I'm sure I would have gotten it. Somebody would have said, are you not director yet? But I kind of took the initiative to do that. So, but it has to be constructive, it has to be structured, it has to be positive. And I think that kind of got it across the line. And then just quickly, from a business perspective, we always see ourselves as the underdog in our space in terms of what we do. We believe in our proposition, but we had a sort of sales pitch where we put an RFP in for £800 million investment, and we kind of came third in the RFP process going into the finals pitch, and that's kind of not where you want to be, obviously. And we had this massive brainstorm session, went across teams at SEI, spoke to the guys in the US, put a fantastic presentation in place, and we won the business. And for me, that was just overwhelming, because you were going into this meeting thinking, we're just coming here to just spend 45 minutes and do something and go our merry way. And for the client to call you and tell you congratulations, I think that was a big amount for our team in terms of asset size, but just the turnaround was phenomenal. And I use it as an exciting moment because we worked across so many teams within SEI to deliver that. And it just taught me a bit more about just that power of collaboration. I'm going to stop there.
Good answer. I've been thinking about what my favourite moment is as well. It's hard because for me, I'm thinking of the sort of fun moments. So like it's a very fun and relaxed sort of, I say relaxed, that sounds like we don't do any work, wrong word. It's a very friendly environment to be in. My favourite moment was probably sitting next to Al West, who is a multi-billionaire, our founder. I sat next to him at dinner and I drank gin with Al West, and I spoke about my biggest passion in life is traveling. His biggest passion in life is traveling and technology. Chatting to my founder of my company for hours with gin, talking as if he was just like a lovely old friend, basically. I would say that's my favorite moment among many. It's a genuinely very nice environment to work in. Everyone is very helpful, incredibly sort of down to earth. Everyone kind of has the same goal, end goal in mind. No one's out to get you. I think we've created quite a nice environment. It's a very pleasant place to work, I would say. Very, very nice. Got a couple more questions. Hello, please advise on any kind of opportunities in the client service side for someone with no formal economics or accounting degree, however, with over 2 decades of rich experience in FS in Fortune 500 business processes. Good question. If I'm honest, I think the best thing to probably do in terms of if you are actually looking for opportunities at SEI is to have a look at our website and also email UK Recruitment. They are the absolute experts. They work with all the hiring managers and all the roles. What I would say, depending on the level of role that you want to go for, and I can speak at least on the side of the associates because I help run the scheme, don't worry too much about if you don't have an economics or an accounting degree. At least for the associates program, other roles will probably be different, and there might be, certain requirements. We do expect you to have this or this, but at least for the associate and the internship scheme, we actually purposefully don't really look for people with an economics or an accounting or, a maths degree. Not to say that they're not good, but we essentially don't want to hire 6 of the same people because we can't offer you 6 of the same permanent roles at the end of the 2 years. A lot of what we look for is more to do with your passion, your enthusiasm, your willingness to just kind of roll up your sleeves and chuck yourself in at the deep end. Yes, it probably helps if you have an understanding of finance or maybe how financial services industry works, but you're going to learn it. You're not going to come into the associate program where we're going to expect you to know absolutely everything about fintech or a wealth platform or clients or whatever. I think at least for the associate scheme, because that's the kind of only recruitment I'm really involved in, I would say don't worry about not having an accounting degree. I think in SIP you might be able to answer this a bit better than me, but yeah, it depends what type of role you're looking for. I guess inevitably there are roles within sort of finance and asset management where you probably are expected to have certain criteria. Unfortunately, that is just the way it is. But SIP, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think it's pretty comprehensive. One thing I'll say, I guess, just reading through again, in terms of 2 decades of rich experience in financial services, client service, probably the first thing to do is just write down your transferable skills. And then, as Kate mentioned, there are opportunities across from the associate to the senior level to the middle level in terms of what SEI is looking for. And then just see how those transferable skills match up with the job description and apply. And we'll take it from there in terms of having conversations about the roles. Because as Kate mentioned, I'm a physicist. I still enjoy doing geeky physics things, even though I've spent 16 years in finance. You don't need an economics or accounting background to be here. So the transferable skills are important. Your passion is important, as has been said. Match up with the job description and just take it from there.
Yeah, and I think SIP kind of touched on this earlier. If you have the opportunity to do it, try and get your qualification, something like an IOC or an IMC or something. It's such a good thing, not only for your knowledge, but for an employer to see, oh, that individual's actually gone out of their way to learn more and deep dive into the industry. I think all three of us have got professional development qualifications. It's something that's so genuinely helpful for you, not only to give you knowledge and context so that when you go into a role you think, oh, okay, I understand why that happens, but just from the employer side, it's just such an attractive thing to see that someone's gone out of their way to, you know, take it upon themselves to kind of go that extra mile. I hope that answers your question. The next one is, any advice on the recruitment process? I don't know if you mean the associate recruitment process or just the general recruitment process. I would say, just generally in recruitment, always write a cover letter. Always, always, always write a cover letter. Do not make your cover letter 3 pages long. No one's going to read it. Half a page, 3/4 of a page. Personalize it to the company that you're applying for. If you see a job at SEI, why would you be good for SEI? Show that you've done some sort of research into the company. Why would we want to hire you over anybody else? Please make sure that there are no spelling mistakes in your application or your cover letter. I am a particular stickler for that. And when I'm going through the associate recruitment process, I will pretty much throw your application in the bin if you can't spell very well. So please, just attention to detail is a really, really important one. And just, I don't know, be yourself, sell yourself, look at the job spec and relate everything that you're kind of saying back to the job spec. This is why I would be good for this. I have experience in this, you know. I don't know, Rebecca, do you want to add anything from when you were applying for the associate scheme and what you thought was kind of might be a good tip?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it on the nail with all your comments there. The only thing I would add is probably if we're talking about recruitment for the associate scheme, when it comes to the essay part, just really try and bring it back to SEI's proposition. There's too many times I've read essays where it's just relating to the question itself. And unfortunately, we really want to read your ideas about how we can improve SEI's platform or SEI's business proposition, not necessarily just the task or the title. So a bit of research, you know, even reaching out to some employees on LinkedIn, I wouldn't, you know, all they can just do is say no. And if anything, it shows a bit of initiative, going the extra mile. And the kind of interview process, I think Kate had already mentioned it, but just be yourself, and just come really understanding as much as you can. SEI can initially seem a bit tricky to understand, but people will be able to, employees that are interviewing you will be able to tell the difference between someone that's done a bit of research and someone that's just kind of had a quick look on the website for 5 minutes. So and as well, industry experience. It doesn't necessarily always have to be just about SEI. Competitors, all that kind of knowledge is really, really makes you look quite impressive and makes you look like you've gone the extra mile.
Yeah, it can be incredibly daunting, especially when you graduate. I remember when I graduated a long time ago, it's really daunting going out into the world and applying for jobs, and it can be really demoralizing if you apply for 10 jobs and you get knocked back. It can be really deflating, but please remember, like, it's not personal. You know, like I understand it is really easy. I went through it as well. Oh God, why don't they want me? But it isn't that. It really isn't that they don't want you, and it's a kind of mindset that you learn to get into as you go through your career, and it can be really, really daunting. But remember, when you're interviewing, the person interviewing you is a person just like you. They've got a family, they've got a life outside of work. You can see them as, oh, it's really scary and they're really senior, but no one is out to get you in an interview. In fact, we've chosen you because we like you and we think you're good enough that we'd actually, they could work in the business. Let's interview them to get to know you better. And I think that's something important to remember in an interview. It's as much about, you know, do we think you're good for the job, but also do we think you're a cultural fit? Just be yourself. Be yourself. I know it can be really, really nerve-wracking and deflating when you're not really getting where you want, but please just persevere and be yourself. And also, a good tip, always ask questions. Whatever interview you're in, and normally they get to the end, oh, do you have any questions for me? Never ever just sit there and say, no. Please ask a question, even if it's just, how have you found your time at this company? What's been your favorite time at this company? Anything, just ask anything. I'd say that's probably my biggest tip for interviews. Ask questions, and there's no stupid questions either. Just ask would be my advice. Does SEI offer sponsorships for professional qualifications? Yes, we do. We will pay for your qualifications within reason, but yeah, a lot of the associates, we pay for them to do their IMC, which is the investment management certificate, or their IOC, investment operations certificate. Yes, they pay for me to do my CIPD, so I'm qualified in HR management. We have people doing the CFA in certain roles in Cyprian's world. A lot of people have the CFA. We will sponsor you to do it. Most companies now, I say, would hopefully sponsor you. I think that is quite a big sort of benefit of companies now. It's a good question though. You should always ask it, because it's really handy if the company will pay for it for you, and it just looks good as well to your managers if you sort of voluntarily say, oh, I really want to do my CFA, CIPD, whatever it may be. Yeah, don't ever be afraid to ask for them to sponsor it. I think, good timing, that is all the questions that we have. I'm just checking the chat box. I don't have LinkedIn. I'm one of those weird people that just doesn't have it. They've put Cyprian and Rebecca's LinkedIn in the chat box. If you have any questions on any of the or anything that we've spoken about today, or any of our careers, any of our vacancies, please email ukrecruitment@seic.com. It's all part of the HR team. I can help pick it up and just say that you met us on this call and you have some questions. I'm more than happy to give you a call, put in a Zoom, email, whatever is easiest for you guys to try and help you. Sip, Rebecca, anything you want to add?
Go on, Rebecca. Do you want to add anything? I guess for me, just best of luck with the journey and the process. And I think Kate's said it all really. Just keep persevering, just keep pushing, and you definitely will land one of these roles. And when you do, always network, always just catch up with people in the industry, and just go on that journey. And all the best.
Yeah, I'll just finish by saying, now that you've got my LinkedIn, feel free to reach out with any questions, any tips on the recruitment process, or any kind of, burning questions about SEI, just to help you kind of navigate the world of SEI and the website of SEI. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Best of luck, and yeah, you will get there. Just persevere, network, be yourself. Yeah. Thank you everybody. Thank you for joining.